Good afternoon, people of the world. How you doing? Hope you're all doing good. I hope you're all doing well. Having a good day, had a good day, going to have a good day. We're back with ETS 2 and the competition between this and ATS. And last week I decided that I'd make sure that I'd finish deliveries before I finished the stream, just in case there was updates and I get sent back to my garage and the delivery gets cancelled. And guess what? There was an update. So there we go. I've also got rid of a mod, realistic interest rates, because I haven't confirmed this as of yet. But those of you who watch the ATS stream, you know that having the dollars as a symbol for my money, like over here I've got the euro symbol, is not an option, unfortunately. I don't know why. Oh, it was down low. Oh, that's talking about my DPI. The mouse was a bit slow. Yeah, so I'm on euros on that one as well. It doesn't give me the option to change the dollars. I've got other currencies pretty much the same as in here, actually. So I yesterday went in and had a look, googled it and see if anyone else had a problem. Other people had a problem. It turned out for most people it was a mod. Now the interest rate one is the only one I know of that I've got that would affect money. So I've turned it off here, and then tomorrow hopefully I'll remember to turn it off ATS, and that'll, with a bit of luck, fix that issue. If it doesn't, I'm still going to keep it off anyway. So we're up to 126 grand, miles ahead of ATS, by the way. And we just got another 14 grand to go before I can buy myself a truck. Now, I was thinking, again, I know it's a dangerous thing for me because it never pans out well. But when I suggested that, well, I thought because of the two games, I just need to clean my glasses. Between the two games, ATS trucks are cheaper than ETS's trucks. Also, ATS trucks don't have engines as powerful as some of the ETS, like the Volvo and the Scania. So I wanted to keep it an even keel, but this is a competition between the two games to see which one of these two games you can make. I can get to my goal quicker. And that will involve playing it as I normally do. So buying the trucks I normally do, spending the money I normally do. So I'm inclined to decide, think, whatever, that I'm not going to worry about the cost of the trucks. I'm still just going to keep that. My first truck has to be bought outright without a loan. And then from there, I'm going to probably do what I normally do as in truck-wise on both games. Because, yeah, if ATS is easier to get there because it's cheaper, that's the whole thing about the competition, is to find out which one it is. It might be ETS because you might get more money. I don't know. It might be ATS because you get less money, but things are cheaper to buy. It might pan out. We might end up on the same week. I finish a stream at ETS and get to my goal and go, yay. And that doesn't mean it wins because it's had one more stream than the other. And then the next day, if I get to the goal in ATS as well, then it's equal. As far as I can see, I could always say, okay, well, I did it in this time and this time. But obviously, there's certain things during the streams where I might take a longer break in one stream than the other. Something might happen where I have to go away on one stream and I might play it a little bit more on one stream than the other. So for me, it would have to be at least maybe an extra stream. 3.5 hours should cover that difference easily, I think. I hope so, over the time. Maybe not, maybe 1 or 2 streams. But definitely not if they end up on the same week of streaming, maintaining that goal. To me, that's just even Stevens. Then I might have to try it again. Maybe I'll try it again and throw it up as a Let's Play on YouTube. Mind you, I said I'd never do that. I'll make a liar out of myself. I don't need to do that. People do that to me all the time. just because they don't believe me, therefore I am a liar. Without any, well, we all have that in it. People just go, I don't believe you, so instantly that's their basis for fact. So I don't believe it, therefore it can't be true. Right. Anyway, let's not go down that road, eh? Now we're going to find a job. Now, if you remember last week, I changed the job. A company we work for, purely because the one we're in was just a right hassle to get out of. And now we're on to RT logs. So we've got the choice 3 here. We got our Amazon, taking it in a Renault, taking it in a Renault, taking it in a Mercedes. That's also the more expensive one. But okay, so if there's anyone in chat, 1, 2, or 3, just type in 1, 2, or 3 for the delivery you'd like me to take. I'll give about 15 seconds or so. Well, actually, maybe a little bit longer than that because of chat delay. I'll say until it says I've been live for 12 minutes and 20 seconds, which is 20 seconds away. And of course, if I don't get anyone that was here as of yet at the beginning, I'll make the decision myself. It's going to be easy. It's going to be the Mercedes, pure and simple. And luckily enough, it's also the most high-paying job and to a location I've never been before. Right. Job taken. So I'm guessing the job after this one, we can get ourselves a truck. Hopefully a decent one too. Now, you know what, for a change, I normally start off in cab view on the first delivery, but I might actually go bumper view for a start this time around. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to have a look at where we're going to. And just to make sure, I'm going to go right past one, and that'll be a viewpoint, won't it? It's amazing with this DLC, more viewpoints have turned up, but I'm guessing that'll have to be a viewpoint where the location is. It's out of town, sort of here. All right, so I just want to make sure I go past some question marks in the town, so I don't forget that, and I'm going to try and remember to put a waypoint to it. Alright, which button is the start? That's cruise control. No, that's not cruise, that's cruise control on Farming Sim. That's cruise control there. When I went to turn the lights on, I pressed the cruise control. Which is actually the lights in Farming Sim. Oh my goodness me. Let's get the high beams going. Alright. I'm going to change it now. I'm not going to worry about... There shouldn't be too much traffic around. And the other thing I want to make sure is how many gears we've got. Okay, so I know which button to press for the splitter. Go up the ranges. Not as in hills, as in gears. $500 kilometers. Which is about the same distance, I think. Oh no, actually it's just shorter from where I live to the big city, the main city in New Zealand. It's a 6.5 hour drive. Mind you, probably about 5 of those hours are stuck in traffic in Auckland. Auckland traffic's shocking. Really bad. Mainly because there was no foresight. because they couldn't foresee how cheap cars would end up being, because in this country there's a lot of Japanese second-hand cars are bought. And they're cheap as chips, so, and I think it's an old statistic, but it might be still true. We've got the highest amount of cars per family in the world, so pretty much everyone who can drive has a car. And generally, most people get their license as soon as they can, are able to, at the age of 15. I'm sure it's still 15. Well, for the most part, my family's a different story. My son got his license a few years after. Actually, he's still on his learner's restricted, because you get a restricted. I think a lot of countries like this. You get it restricted, but you got to be on for about a year and a half, unless you take defensive driving courses. Then it gets reduced. And the same with my sister. My sister's 11 years younger than me, and she didn't get her license and not until about 5 or 6 years ago. In her early 30s, or just before she turned 30, something like that. And my brother, the same thing. I think he was in his 20s where he got a license. I got mine since I turned 15. And I was lucky too, because I got my license 1 month before they brought in the restrictive license thing. So I went straight to full license. I'm just going to hope there's no car here. Right, we're off running and get this delivery done. Oh, it's only 40k, really? Where's the children? Where's the even, you know, we're 50k here in residential area. Now, if you go past the school, it drops down to 30. But on this one, this would be 100. Because that's the speed limit on the old the motorways. 62 miles an hour for those of you that deal with mile an hour. That's what 100 kilometres is. I guess this is trail speed. Because I got to 11, it's definitely not. There we go. It's definitely not 14. $90, $91, $92. Now, what I also got to do and remember is at the end of this stream, I'm not going to remember it, but I hope I do. When I jump out, I need to jump, instead of jumping out of the game, I need to go back to the main screen so I can change the spring mode to summer. Because this is the 4th stream, so we do a season every 4 streams, for 4 streams basically, and then change it. goodness me. Back to the cheap coffee. Well, I've actually got a mixture of a mixture of good coffee and cheap coffee in my little, what's it called? It's not a jug, it's not even, oh, I don't know what they call it. Anyway, it was half full of the good stuff, and then I bought a 90-gram cheap stuff. Most of them are normally 100, but the cheap ones are at 90 for some reason, and then chucked in there, gave it a mix about, and you can tell the difference. I also got quite a bit of the cheap stuff in that one, because it's really bitter. What's he doing? Why don't you just stay in that lane? It's going to turn into one lane, isn't it? Now I've got a few mods for ATS, a few, maybe two. Then a couple of those. I've got a couple of new mods that I want to add in for ATS. In fact, it could be just the one. I'm just wondering now. Maybe it is. I went and looked for the petrol station one, and yeah, it's definitely well, I read when I looked at it before, just a couple of weeks ago or so, it was it wasn't being kept up to date, and I said, well, okay, it'll still work, but it's just, it doesn't have the up-to-date garages and stuff, petrol stations and stuff like that, which I thought wouldn't matter, because I don't see most of the garages, I suppose, of those wouldn't run out of wouldn't go out of business, especially the bigger ones like BP and Shell and Texaco. We don't have a Texaco here. In fact, what we have is Caltex, which is a combination of Texaco and California Oil, I think it is. And we don't have a Shell anymore because they everyone got all upset with them and they spilt oil in the seas, and so they changed their name to Z, or Z, just the letter, and then pronounced that it was locally owned, which is not. It's owned by Shell. It's Shell's petrol, you can tell, because it's crappy petrol. The octane level just drops too rapidly. The thing is here, I don't know how it works around, probably the same, but all the oil gets imported here, all the petrol gets imported here actually, I think. And then each company just adds their additive into it. So they all get the same petrol and just add the additives, and not all of them. We've got an Australian company called Gull here, which they import it from Australia, and it's a lot better petrol. Because I think they get theirs from Japan, and the processing for the petrol is a lot different than what we do here. So it keeps its octane, and because it's higher octane. Because technically we got three types of octane now. We've got 91, which has been around for years and years. That was the first unleaded fuel we had. It was that, and then the old leaded fuel of 96 octane. But now we've got the 91, then we've got a 95 and also a 98, all unleaded. But for most places, it's not everywhere. Only some places have the 98, but most of them have the 95 or the 91 octane. Now I think Gull has a 91 and a 95, but I'm pretty sure, because that's not the octane level they use. The octane levels are like a 93 and a 98 or something like that, but you can tell the difference in performance in the car, those fuels, compared to the other ones, but otherwise your best with the additives is what makes the biggest difference in the octane. Keeping its level longer or slowly losing the octane level. And mobile's probably the best, and Mobile and BP, I think BP changed theirs and it's maybe even better. I don't have a car anymore to actually confirm that. So yeah, and obviously the better the petrol. Well, actually not obviously, a lot of people probably don't know this, but majority of people use 91 octane because it's the cheapest one per litre. But, and that's what people look at when they buy it, it's economical for my $20. I get more litres of this petrol than if I got $20 of the other petrol. But the thing is, $20 of 91 and $20 of 98, you actually will get further kilometres or miles. You're gonna sneak in, aren't you? Yeah. Whoa, you son of a... Why do they do that? Can I reverse an R3? I can. You go home and take a good look at yourself. Be ashamed of yourself. Go on, off you go. Be ashamed. Be ashamed. Reminds me of something off a movie. Not exactly be ashamed of the way I said it. Anyway, yeah, you'll find that you actually get a lot further distance out of that $20 of the expensive fuel than you will the other one. Especially here with Japanese imports, because in Japan they have really good petrol. And the standard, I think, over there from memory is 98, and they go all the way up to 100 octane. Like some of my cars, two Japanese import cars I own, both of them had the 100 octane sticker on them. Which it didn't say 100 octane, it was all in Japanese, but you can tell by the colour of the sticker. There's red and there's green, and then there's grey. Red and grey is the most common. And the red one was 100 octane, so I ran my cars on 98, and I told a lot of people, because I used to work in a petrol station, I used to tell a lot of people that this would happen. You'd do 3 fills up of the expensive one, then do a range check and see how far you get after the 3rd one, because then you've completely filtered out all the lower octane out of your tank. And I didn't have one person come back and say, you know what, I didn't get as far or got the same distance. They all got further on that $20. And saying that, their cars would last longer. The engines would last longer. Now, how that happens is because the lower the octane, if you get say a litre of 91 and then a litre of 98, and you create an explosion, they generally create the same amount of force. The only difference is the 98 would require less heat to combust compared to the 91. And even though these cars these days, the timing's done by computer, the computer adjusts to all the sensors and that to keep the timing going, they are set to the petrol that they're supposed to run on first and then adjust from there. So that takes a little bit of time, and Japanese cars are built on precision timing. Well, so I suppose same with most cars like BMW and all that, all the precision, it's all about precision. And because they make them with lighter metals now and stuff like that to keep the cars lighter, and it's cheaper than using steel and all that kind of stuff. The precision's even more because it's putting less stress on the engine if it's at timings out of stuff like that. Get into gear. So if the timer goes out, then you put more stress on the engine and you wear it down a bit quicker. So what happens is when the 91 goes in, the computer goes, oh okay, I'm not getting an explosion here or something like that, so it throws a little bit of more fuel in, and that's evident by the fact when in a car that runs 91, you put your foot down and it almost like it sort of jerks a little bit, like it just slows down just an instant and then takes off like a rocket. And that's because the computer's throwing more fuel than it needs. It's just that the spark plugs that are in there are designed to work with the petrol it was designed to have, not with the lower octane petrol. So of course with that heat, you need more fuel to be able to get a combustion, because it's the fumes that explode. It's not actually the petrol itself, it's the petrol fumes that make the explosion. I could be wrong, but this is what I remember. Get into gear. Why are you being such a... There we go. Today. If I did lift my seat up a smidgen, maybe that's it. This is the ETS too. I've got to put the clutch right to the floor. What do we got going on here? Don't tell me I've got a detour. No, we can't have a detour. It's... Anyway, so... Where was I up to? Where was I? So yeah, so that's basically what happens, and when those same cars run on 98, a lot of people think, oh, but my car it's lost power, it's not running, because when they put their foot down, it doesn't seem like it's taking off like a bat out of hell like the 91 does when it gets that extra boost of the explosion more than it requires. But the thing is, they actually are going quicker, it's just smoother, and it just gives that feeling of you going slower, and it's just putting less work on stress on the engine, especially when you go uphill and stuff like that, because it's got the power there to do it, where it's not struggling trying to keep up with the power and putting more petrol through and all that kind of stuff. You imagine that an engine that's supposed to run like this and set up like this and puts this amount of petrol and supposed to expect this amount of power from an explosion, when you get a situation where the computer goes, quick, throw in a bit more petrol, we're not getting an explosion here. And then that explodes and you get a bigger explosion than expecting. It must have some effect on the engine as well, I would imagine. And like I said, especially these days where the cars are made with metals a lot softer, you know, but not brittle, but they can handle it, but those, in comparison to the old cast iron or whatever they used to make, the things of steel or cast iron, I can't remember what they made them out of, those big heavy blocks, they can take a battering and last a lot longer. It's also a benefit to the company, isn't it, because then you break down quicker and then they sell you the parts at an extraordinary price. You make money that way too. Right, so 2 hours out. Have I finished my coffee? No, I haven't. Should be at 11th gear. I've done it again. Maybe it is because I put my chair up. Let me just sit back, relax. We've been up this road. It's nice though, isn't it? But yeah, I love scenery, I'll tell you what. So used to this, what I loved about driving long distances when we go on holidays and stuff. I just love seeing all the different scenery. It just fascinates me for some reason, I don't know why. But I just like how the earth sort of paints itself, sculpts itself. The things you could see. but also, yeah, just nature itself.